Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today and welcome to my podcast studio. Before we start on today's episode, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say I am truly grateful for you being here. It means the world to me and my guest for us to be able to share our conversation with you. If you do like what we're talking about, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. And if we do talk about something that you either agree or disagree with, please put it in the comments. We would love to hear your feedback. Also, please don't forget, I do a lot more than just podcasts. So every Tuesday, I'll put out a drum playthrough. I'll also documenting my journey on writing my solo album, which will feature a lot of guests that have been on the podcast. I'm also putting up a lot of tips and tricks of stuff that we do talk about in some of the podcasts, like insights that I get from some of the guests that share their journey in the music industry. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And again, please don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into it. Hey boys, what's been happening?
G'day, Stephen.
Hendrix,
Well,
my man.
Nothing much here.
And Gandalf. We got Gandalf who just woke up. This is actually the first time ever that I have two people from two different time zones on.
Yeah.
There you go. Spin it up.
I know. It's crazy, man. So just for people who aren't aware about Incision, because I'm sure very few people watching this would. We started back in, I think in my memory, I have it about 94, 95 or something like that. We probably
94.
Yeah.
94.
And we played together for a couple of years, which I'm sure we'll have a bit of a banter about now. And yeah, we released an album, we had a highlight. We played a big festival in Denmark. But yeah, now we're back, like we reconnected last year. During the whole COVID lockdown stuff, I think it was. But before we go too much into it, let's try and run back to the very beginning, back in '94. And I'd love to hear sort of like your thoughts on the first memories of when we all sort of started connecting. Henrik, obviously you and I, like you were part of the band when I joined. So what was sort of like your first early, so it's like Incision childhood memories?
Well, so as you know, I came back from living in Australia. So I grew up in Australia from I was 4 till I was 16, and I moved back to Denmark when I was 16, and sort of got thrown straight into Mulernes Legat School, which was like a pretty average school in Odense, but there was a lot of cool people there, and I sort of got thrown in there when I was 16, and knew no one, practically didn't know any Danish, and really needed to connect with some people on a different level, and bumped into a guy called who was in my class called Christian. And he was a pretty wicked bass guitarist, like really wicked. Like I've never seen fingers move like he did. He had some really crazy long fingers that could do some Primus type shit. And yeah, we started sitting down in his cellar in a small country town where his mum had a ceramics workshop over in the corner, and a little table and candle, and then he was very, very good on the strings in general, so he could play acoustic as well. And yeah, that sort of started that we would just sit down there on cold winter days, and he would play some tunes on the guitar, and I would do a bit of singing over the top. And write some lyrics, and that's where it all just started. It was really just about connecting on another level, and things about school and stuff. I just wanted to park that somewhere because it was a bit of a head fuck for me, being in school and in Denmark and having to learn Danish and stuff. So being able to use music like that was really important, and it worked really well. So that was really just me and Christian having a good time together and connecting on that level, which was music.
Fantastic.
And then to be honest, my memory wasn't my memories were a bit scattered back then. There was a lot of good times going on when I was 17. So, and now I'm 43, so I'll blame time as well. But yeah, it was. I think we sort of did we know that there was like a place called Spill. What was it? It wasn't even Spildorsen. It was, what was it, up at Vesterstationsvej up there? What was it called?
Yeah, I think that was called Spilledosen.
Yeah, so which means play tin, basically translated. It's the music tin, basically.
Yep.
And there was lots of band rooms up there. Really grungy, like, you know, really sort of, yeah. Places didn't get vacuumed. Places didn't get vacuumed up there, or there wasn't any surfaces that had been cleaned for about 10 years. True fact. So yeah, so I think we Christian said we should go up there and talk to some bands and stuff like that, and then we ended up getting a band room, and I think that's where that's where we met Stephen, because he was hanging around up there as well, and we were looking for a drummer, and then we were a trio. And then I think also Adam came into the picture pretty quickly as well, because we needed a guitarist.
Yep.
And then yeah, we just started grooving out and doing some cool stuff up there, and yeah, really freestyling it, to be honest.
I remember it was so daunting. Like, it was when I was sort of trialing out for the band. I remember, like, it was obviously, again, I didn't know any of you previously, so I think I grabbed like a little snippet of like a community notice board or something like that, where it says, "Oh yeah, we're a bass player and a singer, you know, just needing a guitarist and a drummer." So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll try this out." And I was so nervous, man, coming in there and having to jam with you guys, man.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty quick decision. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember it to just be, yeah, awesome. Sounds good. You look like a funny chap. Let's get on with it, you know.
I think I had long hair back then too. I think I had my big fat ponytail.
Yeah. Proper. Yeah. We played for what, probably about a year or something like that, together in that format, which was yourself and me and Christian Kiersko and Adam on the guitar, and yeah, played some small venues and just had some fun with it, really.
Yep.
And I don't even know why Christian left, to be honest. I can't remember. I think it was. I think we were also getting quite serious with coming up there on a regular basis, and it required that we meet up. You know, we couldn't just one of us not be there. And I think Christian was probably just a bit like, yeah, I can't commit to sort of set days where I come up. It was a bit loose, so we were like, oh, well, we need someone that's a bit more reliable. And then Eric's rocked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you enter the picture, Eric?
Well, I really don't remember, actually. It's also a bit of a haze for me. But I remember that I walked into the rehearsal room and Christian was still there playing the bass, and I was like, "Wow!" He was like a god for me, because he could do stuff that was really out there. But I just remember that I was kind of I could play all kinds of instruments back then. So I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. So I just dedicated to it and tried to, well, not copy his style, but like be greatly influenced by it. So I started just learning. You had like, I think 5-6 tracks back then.
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah, and I learned them and walked into the rehearsal room, and it was fantastic. Like the first time we started playing together, it just sort of clicked.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, and Christian just slowly pulled out of it, and it was with a lot of respect and a lot of dignity and stuff. So it was just and I still talk to him even now.
Yeah, so there was no hard feelings. It was really just a transition.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we just started, like, we really started producing like new tracks, and started doing new stuff after that, and it got really serious. I remember.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, and Stephen, you also played a role in it, but I do remember Eric's was a lot more regimented in that we need to, and I think it's also because, not speaking on your behalf, Eric, but I think it was also because you had actually done a lot of work to get yourself in shape to actually be part of the band. Like you were saying, to be able to, you had to practice get all those tracks as good, if not better, than the way they were originally played. You really went out on a limb to go, I'm going to do this, and you did it. So you also expected that, when we had band practice and stuff like that, you were very like, we should be doing it 2 times a week, and this is when we should be doing it, and what time, and and you were really serious about it. And there was a lot. I remember having a lot of respect for it because you did a lot of work for it.
Yeah, it was also just like trying to build off that momentum, not to stop and be like, well, saying that it's okay that we're doing what we're doing, but just wanting to do more.
Yeah.
And also like up to that date, I've been playing with a lot of drummers, but I've never played with anybody like Stefan. So like trying to play with a drummer that can always challenge you as a bass player. That was just fantastic. So I was really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I remember when you joined as well, there was this sort of renewed energy. Like it was like someone who wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that was really a really important kick for the overall energy in the band. Because like from very early days, like I wanted to play music. So again, to have someone else on the same team was really cool. And obviously, like as you said as well, like you brought a different style, like you adapted some of Christian's stuff, but you made it yours. So all the new stuff that we did moving forward, and I think I remember probably No One to Save Me being one of the first ones, that had that sort of very sort of different bass pattern, interference, kind of the same thing. So it has that sort of different sound and that different style to it, and I think that sort of made it that very natural progressive progression in the band, because it, like, all the songs changed a bit. They became a bit more raw, a bit more powerful, rather than obviously Christian's bass style was sort of very, like, a lot of stuff was happening, but it was more but it was more sort of mellow, whereas yours was a bit more sort of punchy. Again, from a drummer's perspective, like again, I just needed to put some more energy behind that to sort of to level that up. But yeah, it's really fun to hear your stories about how all the dots got connected early on. And obviously, so after that, I think very shortly after Eric joined, like, because I think we already had like was it 5 or 6 songs as a demo? I actually don't know where that demo is, but I remember we had like Here in Your Room and Falling Through and some old stuff.
Falling Through was
I think that was actually only released on tape. I think that was only like a demo tape, something. But that would be awesome to actually find those demos if they are floating around somewhere.
I don't have the tape, unfortunately. I never got that tape.
But obviously very shortly after, we actually went on to the endeavor and started recording an album, because I was working at a studio in Odense. How did you guys remember that process? Because that was, again, like, it took months and months and all these random hours and bits and pieces where we came in. How did you remember that process? Any fond memories?
I remember there was one day where I came up there and I truly felt like I thought I felt a little bit like what Jim Morrison might have felt at one studio recording, where I came up pretty foggy and just was laying some vocals on I think it was laying some vocals on shifting or something like that. And yeah, it was getting pretty trippy in the recording studio for me. It was good. Yeah, it was good. It was a good process. We were very lucky to have yourself and those facilities at hand without us having to cough up cash, which we didn't have. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have got it into studio if it hadn't have been for your connection, and that you were using it because you were using that album as a test case, weren't you? Basically for mixing.
Yeah, so again, like we were from memory, we ended up having to pay for like a week or two at the end just to get everything rounded up. But yeah, obviously a lot of the recordings were done on like odd hours, and like I remember me and Eric had like that sonar jam at like 2 a.m. or something like that. But but it was it was definitely a massive advantage to have that opportunity. But yeah, like the album itself was obviously like I suppose like the culmination of that year, or I think it was 10 months or something. I spent there as an apprentice. But again, like to this day, like whenever I put the album on now, I've obviously been listening to it quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, sort of leading up to this. But it's still like it's so many memories, man, from that time, and like very different sound as well, like compared to what you'd hear today, where everything is so polished and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be super interesting to sort of hear how those songs would come out if you were to record them in today's climate.
Yeah, if you were to actually master them the way that things are getting mastered now, it would be interesting to see how they would come out in the wash.
But I have a question. Didn't we go there twice? Because we had the recordings with Adam, and then later Adam left the band, and we had Kenneth come in.
Yeah. There was definitely 2 sessions that was done. There was also again like there were songs that was done originally with Christian that you retracked on bass, and there was another session that was done with all the new songs that we wrote with you. So yeah, but how all that lines up in a timeline, I've got no idea. But obviously all of that happened within a year.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah. But yeah, good times, man. And actually, just on that note, while I think about it as well, the year before we released the album, we got a gig at Midfyns, which we are extremely fortunate to actually have some footage from. Extremely poor quality, but footage nevertheless. How do you guys remember that concert? Because that was probably, you know, at that time, that was definitely, I think, the highlight or the peak of all of us is musical endeavors at that time.
Yeah. I don't know. I remember it as being like Midfyns was like it was not the biggest festival in Denmark, but it was the second biggest. And I remember there was like all our friends came there also, and we did a lot of work up to the concert, like trying to hand out flyers, and we had Henrik's brother also there, that he was really working hard to get people to come down there. And
did we use that pen drawing? Wasn't it a pen drawing that my brother had done, where he's holding his dick and he's looking up with those crazy eyes? Wasn't that?
I think we used that for the first demo tape we did as well.
Oh right, yeah.
So cool to say demo tape, man. Like
that was crazy, but it was just weird because the whole hum there, everybody we talked to, they had heard about it, and we had to play at Bakkescenen, and that was like the second or third biggest stage.
Third biggest, yeah.
Yeah, and just like getting backstage and getting to like meet a lot of famous people back there, and trying to calm down, not freak out. And do you remember Graham Cox, our sound engineer?
How could I forget him?
It was so funny. I remember that afterwards he told that he went up to the mixer and he sent all the engineers away from up there. because he didn't want them to like look over his shoulder, and he just started turning knobs up there. And like the master, it was supposed to go at like -1 or something, and he turned it up to +1. It was just so weird. But I remember standing on stage and looking out over like that growing crowd. It was like maybe 2,000-3,000 people there, and it was just it was the weirdest, best feeling I've ever had. It was just so good. And at the beginning, of course, you were nervous and stuff, but then it just started working out. It was just, and the sound was wonderful. And I remember when we started with the sonar thing, I can remember the reverberation from up at the marketplace that was like a few kilometers away. I remember that we got that sound back, and I was like, whoa.
The story went that my brother and one of his good friends was up in a tent, like, you know, like really far away. The tent area was like up the other end of the festival, and they literally, that was their alarm clock to go that we're playing. That was the sonar that they could hear. And they're like, shit, they're on, and they ran from the tent. So that's how loud it was.
Yeah. And probably it's also maybe worth just mentioning here that festivals in Denmark are nothing like festivals in Europe are nothing like festivals in most other places in the world, because when you go to these festivals, you live in a tent for like 3 or 4 or 5 days, depending on how long you're there for. And like there's multiple stages. It's not just like you have one or two stages as you have in most sort of day festivals, at least here in Australia. So when something goes off, like again, the whole festival area is enormous. Like I think Midtfyns at that point harnessed about 40,000 people in total, or something like that. Maybe even more. But yeah, like massive festivals compared to what we have here. But yeah, it was again, like I remember the same thing sort of come in with that sonar, like the intro bit for the show there. Yeah, it was sort of like it gave you a chance to adjust, like just to come in, like get your adrenaline down, like get your pulse down, and then you could sort of breathe into the rest of the shows.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was wicked, man.
Yeah.
So what actually happened after that? Because that was in 1996 that we played there, and we released the album the year after. But can you guys remember sort of what happened in between? Like we obviously played other gigs. I know we played the DM, like the Danish Championship in rock.
Got a second place in that, didn't we?
Yeah, and the regional or the local final. Yeah, we came second there. I can't remember what year that was though. I think that was 97 maybe.
I reckon that would have been 97. That's when we started sort of getting out and actually playing a fair few. And and I think we went to another competition as well, didn't we? Where we went out of town a little bit.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that was up in Northern Jutland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, and then we played a small festival, like a very small one.
Oh, yeah, down in Southern Funen, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you remember the nightjar you drew? We had a frisbee, and Hendrix he drew a nightjar on it, and we had like a special game, like a frisbee, like in the dead of night. It was like pitch black, shooting frisbees at each other.
And you had a black eye.
Oh my God. Yeah, we did that festival down there. That was like that was actually quite fun. Actually, that was like they didn't expect to hear somebody like us, but I think they enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I think we were trying to be quite busy and getting out with that confidence that we got off Midtfyns. We were sort of really going out and going, right, now's the time to sort of get out and play as many things as we can. And then that culminated into getting the album done. And then,
getting the merchandise done also. We have the T-shirts and that, everything.
Oh, yeah, we did too, with the little cogwheel as the on top of the eyes. Yeah, that's right. But that's so crazy, actually, because when you think back 20 odd years, there was no Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, social media, like everything. I remember I sat at home at my mom's house and used a fax machine to fax venues, like to fax through press releases. And then you had to call them up the day after and said, "Hey guys, have you received it? Like, do you want us to come and play?" And it was so different.
I remember when you showed me the picture of when you showed me the picture of the cyclone that we used for our front cover, and you'd coloured it in green, and then you'd done some squiggly lines on, like you'd dragged and.
No, you did that.
Was that?
That was you.
Yeah,
was it? I didn't do the squiggly lines though, did I?
No. I think those ones were done by the guys who helped us down at that community center or something.
Can't remember.
I remember it vividly. It was in my apartment. I had the photos were from released NASA photos.
All right.
That just came, and I had it like on a CD, and we took the pictures out and just started manipulating with it, Stefan and me, and then and Hendrix was. I remember that when we wrote the Incision, and it had to have something else, and I remember that we asked Hendrix to do that something else, and he just like in a haze went like, and then it was like, well, that's perfect. I remember it vividly. It was in my apartment.
When you think about that's my bread and butter these days.
I was just about to say that. That's how your graphic designer career started.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
But what happened thereafter though? Because then obviously we released the album. I remember I can't remember how I got press or backstage wristband to the same festival the year after. I think I was playing there with someone else the following year, but I think it was me and Eric who went down there again and sort of tried to walk around and hand out the album and stuff. And I think, what was it, the year after something that we ended up splitting up?
98 we split.
Yeah. And how was that? Because I remember you moved to another area of Funen.
Well, no, the whole thing was that I always knew that I would go and do the art school. Remember that Torstallon art school that I'd always known. But when I was 15, I knew that I would do 5 months of art there because I've always wanted to go to that school, and my brother had been to it before.
Yep.
So that sort of, because I'd finished my HF, or my year 11 and 12 equivalent here in Australia, but I was in Denmark, that was probably the right time to do it. So from my perspective, selfishly or not, I sort of said to you guys, now's the time for me to do this. And then when I come back, evaluate from, even if you guys are still there or if you're not, but if you are, we can have a chat and we can evaluate where we go from there, really. Yep. That's how I remember it. But I was pretty set on going to that, and I did, and had a great time, and it was really important for me to do that. But when I came back, that's where there was a lot of decisions for me to make, and I think there was a lot of decisions for everyone in the band to make, really, on what we wanted to do. I made a call personally that I wanted to study. And I didn't want to study music because music for me has been something that, for me, it's just been given to me on a silver plate. I've never had to study or work hard, or I just feel like it's something that I needed to do and did it and enjoyed it. And I wanted to keep it really simple and removed because that's how I've always enjoyed music. And I didn't want to go and have to do, I really wanted to start a degree. And to be fair, in Denmark, starting a degree means two things. It means that you're going to start taking things a bit seriously and start moving in a direction that will give you work in the future. But the other thing is that it'll also give you 5 years of ESU, which is good money. And that was the right path to start getting a bit of an income through studying, which a lot of people did at the time, a side hustle, a side job, and then actually moving towards something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life and working hard at.
Yep.
And that was sort of my journey anyway. And that was that path that I took to sort of say, if I go down the path of music, design will never. So my design career will just have to finish, because design isn't something that you can just keep moving along, especially with digital, the way it's been moving over the last 30 years. It's something you have to keep working at week on week, where reverse, music can follow you throughout your design career and you still feel like you're one with the music, and that you haven't gone backwards really. You might have stood still, but you haven't gone backwards.
Mm.
That's been the thing for me. Yeah. And that was how I remember exiting Incision.
Yep.
And it probably was a bit rough on it, and I'm sure, and that's what it always is when you split. People have different ideas. I'd love to hear where Eric's head was at when all that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so sad. It was like at that point we had a lot of stuff going on, and we had a lot of trying to like break through with the record companies and stuff. And it was a lot of hard work, doing a lot of radio like things. Me and Stefan, we were like trying to like move that whole marketing part forward. And then you decided to leave, and it was like, oh crap, man! It was we had the chance, but at the same time, we were also at a crossroad. We had no obligations, we had nothing. We just had bills to pay, and well, I just I don't know. It was like at first I thought that like a bit of me died when that happened, because it was like something that we worked really hard on. But afterwards, I was like, it was okay. Actually, it was okay, but it has been like in my mind ever since. The whole Incision experience, it's never left me. And but after that, for me, like when Incision broke up, I had a lot of opportunities to play with a lot of people afterwards. And because of course, like being in a band that had made it like a little bit, people wanted to work with me, and it was really fun. I had a lot of fun collaborations in Odense with a lot of people, and ended up playing in all kinds of bands. I played in death metal bands and stuff like that. But it was never serious, and it was never something that could like lead to something. I made a few demos and CDs and stuff like that, but that was it. And music kind of died out for me, like after, I don't know, 5 more years or something. I kind of like just settled down with, it was okay not having music. I had other stuff to do. So, and I did a lot of stuff work-wise. I finished a lot of education. I took a lot of degrees afterwards, and finished a lot of stuff, and did a lot of stupid stuff also, but ended up like in a good place, and always had like music in the back of my mind. And we'll take a bit more later. I'll tell you a bit more about it.
What about you, Stephen?
Well, I sort of like coming up towards like the end of the Incision. I already had 2 other bands, two other groups that I was sort of trying to get into. One of them was just the band that became Stormed eventually. And the other one was with Jakob Dinesen. So we had that Kashmir cover band that we were playing with. Kashmir, yeah. So we had that as like a tribute band for the Danish band Kashmir. So for me, yeah, it was like I felt a bit the same. Like I understand the feeling that Eric is describing 100%, because it it is a relationship that are breaking up. So again, like, so you do split up from your partners. But the good thing is, again, as Eric mentioned as well, like you have, like we had a legacy, like we made a baby together. So that album will always be with you. And again, will always be a part of your path, regardless of whether you're a graphics designer or a school teacher or whatever you're doing, you always have that. But again, for me, because I knew I had the other two groups, it was like, oh, okay, well, in that case, instead of splitting my time up, now I've got just more time. I just have to focus on these two. And because I wanted it so bad, I just knew that I just had to put extra effort into the other two. And what happened, actually, ironically enough, shortly thereafter, I think if probably a year or so later, I got put in an ultimatum by Jakob to actually choose between either his band or Stormed, and I said I won't do that because I want to be able to play as much music as possible, and I enjoy playing. It's two very different genres, so even from a jealousy perspective, we're never going to sleep with the same people because it's two very different audiences. But they wanted someone 100%, so they ended up actually telling me to then just go and pursue my chances with Storm, which again just made me so eager to then just, I'm gonna prove him, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. I'm gonna pursue this like 200%. Which again then ultimately led to us being signed on a major label. Like we did a couple of bigger tours, again played an even bigger stage, even bigger stages after that. We played in front of I think 8,000-10,000 people or something, as one of my highlights. But then when that band phased out, like I think the pain that Eric was feeling, he was describing, that was like your identity just crumbles. Like, I was always identifying as a drummer, whether it was Incision, a Dino Jax, a Papshme, a Storm, or whatever it was. I was a drummer, and then I was doing other stuff on the side. So for me, there was never any doubt that that's what I wanted to be. So when Storm disappeared, like who was I? Like I needed to sort of readjust my personality there. And because I already had a side job as a salesman, then that just became it. I morphed into being that. I took a year off where I didn't play music because I was so heartbroken. And then again, sales has been my path for the last nearly 15 years, since we broke up in 2005. So that was sort of that way. But then again, fun stuff happens, like as you progress in life, like you take different paths and stuff. And then sometimes like this, those paths come back together. And obviously I started this podcast almost a year ago. It's back in April. And I think it was about, what was it around that time that who reached out and how did we start talking again?
I think Eric was the instigator of sort of hooking us back up. I mean, we knew, Stephen and I knew that we were both in Australia, but we were on different ends of Australia, which is still a very long. We didn't bump into each other in the street, if that makes sense.
Nope.
So we always knew that, but there was never a sort of a. I think I know I was following what you were doing with family and stuff like that, but just like it is these days with that we've all got families and life and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of, Yep. But then I know that Eric was a bit like, had a chat to him and he said, we should probably get a chat with Stephen together and just start talking about old days. That's how it pretty much started.
Yeah. I just remember that I started listening to the album again, and it just started to just miss you guys, basically. And then I thought, well, we could at least just talk together and find out what's happening and what's what and stuff. And then I was like, I wrote to you guys and we talked a bit, and I was like, well, I really want to make music with you guys again, and of course we have a lot of options now that we didn't have back then, like with the internet and stuff. So I was contemplating that might be some possibilities there now that we could explore, because like what we had never died. It just like went dormant. So sure. I think that was it's just my thought that let's just talk and see where you guys are at and stuff.
Yeah.
So I wrote to you guys and we talked.
Yeah.
And that's again the fun thing about making music in today's climate and today's world is like you don't need to be in the same city, in the same country. Because I think you actually had done like a bass riff or a guitar riff or something that you sent through to us and we were like, oh, hang on, what's this?
After not playing music for a lot of years, I bought a guitar and started playing guitar and stuff again. And I did that for a few years, and then at one point I talked to some friends of mine that needed a bass player, and I was like, well, that's me actually. So I bought a bass and started doing that, and then at one point I started like getting the whole like Cubase stuff up and going again, and starting like to make a lot of riffs, and like I have a big library there with hundreds of riffs, and I started to like had that feeling that it was like a continuation of Incision. It had like the same soul, the same kind of stuff in it. So I thought that, well, at least for myself, I could just like start making music again. So I made those like riffs or parts, and I sent it to you, and it was just it's just an idea, I guess.
But like it felt right. Like again, as you said, like it felt like it had that vibe, you know, where everything sort of got dropped off the face of the earth, you know, 20 plus years ago.
And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, guys. That you couldn't do that with design. You can't just pick up. You can't pick up the spin and me pulling that out in Photoshop and go, oh, let's start here and play around with some brushes in Photoshop. We're not going to get very far. But actually picking up the music exactly where we left off, it's still very relevant right now. And the music is still good because music doesn't change in that essence. You know, it's the same. It's the same system.
It is. It is. And that's actually, it's such a beautiful thought, or such a beautiful analogy when you think about it. Like it is timeless in so many ways. Because again, like even the music that you listen to, actually before I get too sidetracked here, that brings me back to our album. So even though our album came out 20 plus years ago, for most people, I said that would be a brand new album today. It would be music that people have not heard before. So you might be able to resonate more with it today than you would 20 plus years ago. Because it has not only just such a unique sound, but also a sound that actually stands out in today's climate where everything is so polished. So yeah, it's super interesting to sort of see how music operates and how it is. I call it the most underrated commodity because it's something that every people use every day. Like you either you see it on the news, you hear, you listen to the radio, like there'd be music somewhere.
Yeah, but even more so now that everyone's walking around with these wireless pods. I mean, they're basically connected, and they're not listening to podcasts. They're listening to music. Like, I actually don't understand it. I can't listen to music like that much. Like, it's just too much. I don't actually have them. Like, people go to the gym and they listen to music. I'm a bit like, that's a lot of hours of music that you're listening to. You must be repeating a lot of it. I don't repeat that much music in that way, you know, like I don't treat music like it's almost like junk food. When I listen to music, I sit down and listen to music.
But it's crazy. Like, but again, it just means like you like when you talk about junk food, it just means you have a massive buffet. Like you have so much stuff to eat, and because as opposed to back in the day, you know, where we did demo tapes, just think about that for a second. Tapes, as compared to now, where you have all the music in the world in your pocket. You can listen to it whenever, and any minute, any second of the day. You can put up, I want to listen to that song, and it's there straight away. No wait time, no nothing. So it's such a different mechanism today. And And that again, the beauty of that is also again that it does allow us to make music, even though we are 3 completely different places in the world. And even though we don't actually have a guitarist. So the fact is that it is just the 3 of us that has this idea to say, look, let's still do whatever we are doing on the side, or doing as our primary things. Obviously, Henrik, you got your graphics business. Eric is a teacher, and I'm sort of trying to build my other stuff in music here. But we could do this whenever it fits in, which you would never have the opportunity to do that 20 years ago.
No.
Let alone maybe 15. Like it is something that has become available, like probably in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super exciting, man.
Mm.
So what are we doing? So obviously, Henrik, Eric, you have a big riff bank. So you're gonna put up a Google Drive. You need to share it with us so we can start sucking up the junk food.
Yeah, it's I guess that I could start putting it together in small bits, like where you have verse and chorus riffs and stuff like that. Like just build them into small bits and stuff. I'll share it with you guys, and you guys can just have a little sniff around, see if there's something there. But it's like the part that I've been working a lot on. That was the whole cinematographic kind of rock music kind of stuff. That bringing in like we did on a lot of in some of the tracks, like moving some movie bits into it, and try to build off that whole vibe in the movies and stuff, and that's been kind of the driving thing for me right now, trying to build also taking in some stuff that we already know and try to build off that feeling kind of thing. So, but I don't know where we're going with it. I think it's gonna be different from what we did back then, but it's gonna have the same flavor kind of thing, I guess.
No doubt.
I don't know.
No doubt, but it'd be fun. Look, I'm totally up for it. Try and do a little revamp.
Yeah. For sure.
Let's see if we can go with it.
What have we got to lose?
For sure.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Cool.
A little bit of time, but hopefully a lot of feel-good vibes to gain.
Yeah, it is.
By the time this year will actually air and premiere, we're gonna have at least one video. No One to Save Me. We've done a little lyric video for that. And the album as well, re-uploaded that so people can actually go and check that out if anyone wants to see what Incision was all about. So I suppose really moving forward, it really just comes down to see how and what direction we would take if we were to try and put out a new song or a new couple of songs, which I suppose we will find out in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. And I remember a couple of months ago, during lockdown, Henrik, you actually went out and bought a microphone and an audio interface, so you have the option to now record at home. So
that's right.
I
made the purchase.
The circle is complete.
That's right. Yeah, I've got the gear. We've all got the gear. Like you said, we're missing a guitarist, but I don't think that's going to play a role. But we'll work out whatever we work out. But yeah, we're going to have a bit of fun with it and see where it takes us.
Fantastic. And the cool thing about having Hendrix on board as well is the fact that we can get some kick-ass graphics.
Yeah.
Get some good looking merch maybe.
Yeah, good looking merch. Yeah, loving it. Yeah, and you've got a t-shirt. You've got a t-shirt press, which I'm very impressed about.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun.
Yeah, we'll be well, probably by the time this goes live, I'll definitely endeavor to do the presentation in a little Incision shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
Just gonna get some cool designs happening, so we can actually tell people to go and buy a shirt and support the reunion.
Support the reunion.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here in Denmark that are rooting for us. Like a lot of my friends, they've been talking about that they brought out the CD again and just trying to, like, they're getting into the whole Incision vibe again. So I guess it's gonna be fun to see how many are just gonna like try and support us, because it's gonna be fun.
Well, it's gonna be.
But I think what I'd love to do as well is I'd love to grab one of our songs, and like we were talking about at the start of the podcast, actually remaster it in the sound of 2021. So actually taking one of the songs and then just because I mean our levels are totally different back then. You know, it would be interesting if I don't know enough about mastering and stuff like that, but if you can, put almost like a different shell on the same content.
Yeah, it'll be like to remaster. That's basically you taking the audio as you have now as like a stereo track, and you can just slightly adjust some of the like the frequencies and peaks and bits and pieces. So, but you can't go in and remix it, unfortunately, because. But otherwise, like another fun thing to do, like, could be to try and re-record one of the songs and see how that would sound if we were to grab up one of the old songs and record it in a 2021 version.
Yeah, well, I've already thrown Groom Forgot the Bride your way, so
yeah. Again, we can definitely try and pick that one up and give that a spin and try and give that some love. Just out of curiosity, this is something that a lot of people have asked me in the past, back in the days, is in regard to sort of influences. Back in the day when we were playing and we were writing all these songs, what sort of influences did you guys have when you? Because I never came up with any of the riffs. So, but what did you guys sort of get influenced by?
Back in the day, it was a lot of us. At least I came from like a rock kind of heavy metal background, but like listening to a lot of the stuff that Henrik introduced us to, like the a bit more trippy stuff, that kind of influenced a lot, and listening to some of the old stuff also, like listening to Led Zeppelin, The Doors, stuff like that influenced us a lot. But it was fun that when I listened to the album, I was like, well, I must have listened to like the early Tool stuff maybe, but I don't remember doing that, because there's a lot of similarities there in the way the tracks are built, actually, and also the sound kind of. But I think that actually for me, I was mainly just influenced by Christian's playing. Actually, that was kind of what I built off, and the rest of it kind of came from within.
Mm.
It was just weird because it was not like us trying to copy a specific band or anything. We're not doing that. We're just trying to like find our own like expression kind of thing. I remember talking to Adam about it back then, and Adam he had the same feelings about it. It was like not something that came from a specific place. It was just like an internal kind of process, I guess.
What about you, Henrik, for the lyrics? Because that was your job.
I was into some trippy shit. I loved it. I loved all the trippy stuff. All the lyrics. I enjoyed that. That was a big thing for me when I was sort of growing up. So 16 to whenever. Was getting into that type of music. I loved that sort of, and I think I probably influenced the band a lot to sort of be quiet sometimes and just go a little bit soupy in areas. I loved when System of a Down came out. I loved that. I loved how they had when I listened to System of a Down, we'd already finished Incision and all that, of course. But that was really what I really liked the way that they composed, because that's what I felt we were doing in Incision as well, where we were, we were really. Oh, who's this guy? I'm just in a meeting, buddy. Okay. Okay. See ya. I'll come down and sort it out.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, that's the world just went under because Minecraft wasn't on his iPad. So yeah. Trouble.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so I think it was what I was saying was with System of a Down, how they really could make things really quiet and then really loud and really quiet. And I think we were doing that a lot in Incision, and I really liked that. I liked that we were catering for each other's tastes, because I know that yourself, Stephen, you love to give the drums a bash, and get the double kick going and really get some speed up. And same with you, Eric. You loved a bit of that sort of, where there was a bit of punch. And my role in the band was to sort of go, let's just be quiet for a little bit, and we'll bring it back up again.
Yeah.
And we sort of mastered that after a while. And I think that was one of our calling cards.
Do you guys remember, like in the studio, doing the acoustic sessions also, like with the string girls and stuff?
Yeah, of course.
That was just amazing. Like the sound from those string girls there, that was just, and Kenneth doing the composing, like writing on the fly, writing like what they had to play and stuff. It was just, man, he was talented.
Ken's a bit of an anomaly, isn't he? Because he was so talented, and now he doesn't touch any music at all.
Yeah, I wonder what sort of path or what sort of direction he took after it all.
Yeah, I don't know.
He went on. He played a bit afterwards, but he stopped quickly and just started working. And he had been, as far as I know, he's been working with with scaffolding kind of thing somewhere, also working in the oil industry, and now I think he's on the process to moving to Asia somewhere,
right?
And because he has a wife and I think maybe kids also, I don't know, but it's a shame. He was a really big talent, and also it was also really fun, like working. Do you remember, Stefan, working with Kenneth and his solos in the studio? Because of him being like a school musician and really, really talented, he wanted to do all that fast stuff, and trying to teach him how to like slow down and make it come from not like the upper part of your body, but make it come from your belly instead. Because everything was like, it was really, really fast. But and I just remember him doing the acoustic solo for Groom Forgot the Bride. I was just, oh my God, it still makes my hair stand on my arms. It was just, holy crap.
Yeah, it's good. Very different.
It's definitely for a lot of musicians I've worked with afterwards, it's always been like a reference solo. Like when people talk about what's a good solo, I'm like, well, listen to this stuff, and everybody's just like, wow, crazy. That's just, really, really talented.
And I think that ended up just being a one take, that solo. Like when he ended up, because he did a lot of other solos, and they were like, no, dude, calm the fuck down. And then he just did that one in just one go, and it's like, don't, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, dude. Like,
yeah, that's good. That was also a fun experience to do the whole acoustic sessions, like having to like translate what you do into like other instruments and making it a lot more calmer. That was just fun. And listening to Hendrix sing on those, that was a different experience from the rocky stuff we did.
And I remember I had on the on Invisible Man, I played on a flatbed toaster. I was I was scratching that as a little effect part. You can actually still hear it in the mix. I think it's in the third verse or something. But good memories, man.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. I think we said we're going to try and wrap it up after an hour, and we just clocked over an hour now. So I'm super impressed by how much we actually got stuffed into that 1 hour, and I think that's a perfect spot to round off here. And let's try and give it a good little shot over the next couple of months, and maybe do another one by the time we have a track ready. Hopefully,
yeah. We'll do a bit of a reveal on your podcast on the Helhammer.
For sure, man. Any last words, shout outs before we wrap it up?
No, man. I just think it's cool that we're the same group of people that we were those many years ago, and yeah, let's just pick it back up again, and with our little grey beards, see how we go.
Both you and me, Henrik, we need to grow a beard to sort of keep up with Gandalf there, man.
You're gonna get to Gandalf, man.
That's it.
Yeah, this is about like I don't know, maybe a week old or something.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Shaved this morning. So thanks a lot, guys. It was wicked. I'll chat to you guys really soon. But thanks so much for taking a time out and come on here and have a little bit of a yarn.
Go the Helhammer.
Excellent.
See ya.
Chat soon, guys.